Shalom from Israel to all of the Daystar viewers around the world. I'm Moshe Bar Tzvi, the producer and founder of Israel Now News. We at Israel Now News are dedicated to bringing you the full story and the truth about Israel from Israel. It's written in the Holy Bible when David said in Psalm 25:5, "Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day long." And God says in Zechariah 8:16, "These are the things that you shall do. Speak out the truth to one another. Judge with truth and judgment to peace in your gates. And always search for the truth, and the truth shall set you free." John 8:31. I hope you enjoyed the program. God bless you from Jerusalem. Shalom, shalom.
Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our top story, U.S. President Barack Obama has made another move to isolate Israel in the face of a nuclear-armed Iran. In an interview with CBS, Obama dismissed Israel's insistence to stop Iran's nuclear program. He said that Israel's demands for red lines are just noise he is trying to block out. Obama has been publicly criticized by Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney for his wavering stance on Israel. In an interview given to 60 Minutes, Romney said that Obama's refusal to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in New York this week is a mistake that will distance us from our friends.
Although the Obama administration has been hesitant to do so, the U.S. Senate has approved a resolution which sets red lines for Iran's nuclear program. It says that Congress has ruled out any policy that would rely on containment as an option in response to the Iranian nuclear threat. This strongly worded resolution is more forceful than Washington's policy toward Tehran. It specifically denies the Islamic Republic the right to obtain nuclear weapons, making the Senate's requirements equal to Israel's red lines. The American Israel Public Affairs Committee released a statement praising the resolution and calling for an increase in sanctions against the world's leading state sponsor of terror.
Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has addressed the United Nations General Assembly at a high-level meeting on the rule of law. The Israeli ambassador to the United Nations walked out in protest, saying the leader of a lawless country that repeatedly violates the basic principles of the rule of law has no place in this hall. He called it an absolute disgrace that the Iranian president was given a voice on such an important issue. And he added that allowing Ahmadinejad to speak at the UN about the rule of law is like appointing a pyromaniac as commander of fire prevention services.
One IDF soldier was killed and another was wounded when an Egyptian terrorist cell ambushed a group of soldiers while they were providing fresh water to African migrants near the Sinai border. The IDF engaged the terrorists and immediately killed two of them. There was a heavy exchange of gunfire with a third terrorist, which caused the suicide belt that he was wearing to detonate. IDF spokesman Brigadier General Yoav Mordechai said that the IDF stopped a major planned terrorist killing spree.
The murdered IDF soldier, 20-year-old Sergeant Netanel Yahalomi, was laid to rest in the military cemetery in Modi'in. His father said that Netanel was proud to serve the IDF and the Artillery Corps, and that he felt his Army service was an all-important mission. His sister said that the family was not at all surprised to hear of Netanel's immediate reaction to the ambush. He engaged the terrorist before putting on his helmet and sustained a fatal head wound. She said that if this sacrifice had to be made, at least it was made in defense of our homeland.
In the wake of this most recent attack, Israeli leaders have begun to discuss the necessity of an Israeli mission into the Sinai. In response, a senior member of Egypt's higher military council threatened that Egypt would cut off the arm of any foreign or domestic aggressor. He said that the Egyptian military considers Israel's discussion to initiate a military operation in the Sinai a threat, and that Cairo would not allow one piece of Egyptian land to be compromised.
Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi has repeatedly said that he would like to amend the Egyptian-Israeli peace treaty so that he can permanently increase the presence of the Egyptian military in the Sinai. Israel's Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman said there is no chance that Israel will agree to any kind of change to the peace accords with Egypt. Israel allowed the Egyptian military to temporarily increase their military presence in the Sinai after 16 Egyptian soldiers were killed by Islamic terrorists who attacked a Sinai police station last month. However, the Egyptian military campaign against the extremists operating in the Sinai has been largely unsuccessful. With more on this developing story, we turn to Aaron Viner.
Thank you, Yochanan. A Kuwaiti newspaper has reported that the Egyptian government is planning to use chemical weapons in the Sinai along the Israeli border. The government, now run by the Muslim Brotherhood Party, has desperately been trying to regain control over the militants in the Sinai. Last week, Bedouins attacked a multinational force and observers base, during which 4 foreign officers were wounded. This recent report demonstrates the delicate nature of Israel's relationship with Egypt. Israel is naturally concerned about protecting the Israeli communities that border the Sinai from terrorists, but also cannot allow the Egyptian military's presence in the Sinai to threaten the national security of the State of Israel.
The jihadists who claimed responsibility for the Sinai terror attack were reportedly overjoyed to learn that their mission killed an Israeli soldier. The Islamic terror organization Ansar Beit al-Maqdis claimed that Jews assisted in the production of a recently released film which mocks Mohammed. According to a post on a jihadi's website, Jews motivated the hostile group of foreign pigs to create the film. We decided to punish the Jews for their heinous crime. The posting went on to say that the martyrs went through their rigorous training and looked forward to the day of the operation as if it was their wedding day. Evidence has mounted that the film, which was created by a Coptic Christian, was merely an excuse for the violent uprising against Americans and Israelis worldwide, which was planned for the anniversary of September 11th. Aaron Viner has more on this story.
Yes, Yochanan, the Obama administration has admitted that the attack on its embassy in Libya on September 11th of this year was in fact a premeditated terrorist attack. The initial stance of the administration was one of great shock and condemnation of a YouTube video, which they said sparked the spontaneous violence. During his testimony before the Senate Homeland Security Committee, Matt Olson, the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, admitted that the attack was certainly the work of terrorists. The U.S. ambassador to Libya, Chris Stevens, and 3 other American citizens were killed during that terrorist attack on the consulate in Benghazi.
The Sunday Times has reported that a listening device disguised as a rock at Iran's Fordo nuclear site was discovered by Iranian security forces. The listening device was collecting data from the centrifuges at the site where Iran has moved most of its nuclear program. The Fordo military compound is heavily fortified under hundreds of feet of rock and concrete and is by far the most guarded nuclear site in the Islamic Republic. Intelligence collected at the facility could help prove to the world that the hardline Islamic Republic is enriching uranium at Fordo in order to create nuclear weapons.
The Syrian military has fired into Jordan in an attempt to stop the flow of refugees from Syria into the Hashemite Kingdom. The Syrian army has reportedly moved their 61st Brigade to the Jordanian border, causing an increase in tensions between the 2 countries. There was also a recent disturbance on the Syrian border with Lebanon. Israeli radio has been reporting that Syrian rebel forces attacked a Lebanese army base near the Syrian border. According to Lebanese officials, this is the 2nd Syrian incursion into Lebanon in as many weeks.
11 Israeli Knesset members have publicly called on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to approve the Levy report. This popular proposal, written by former Supreme Court Justice Edmund Levy and 2 other highly influential Israeli legal experts, details the legality of the Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. The approval of the Levy report could lead to the legalization of these areas and effectively put an end to any future discussion of their evacuation.
Yusuf Nardachani, the Iranian Christian pastor who has been imprisoned for 3 years for refusing to renounce his faith, has been released from an Iranian prison 2 weeks ago. In a letter, Pastor Yusuf thanked people around the world who prayed for him and worked to help free him from that prison. He said, "I want to express my gratitude toward everyone who has worked for my cause, or should I say, the cause that I defend. I want to express my gratitude to all of those who have supported me openly or in complete secrecy." The American Center for Law and Justice was at the forefront of the battle to free Pastor Yusuf. The legal director of the center said that it is important to remember that there are several other Christians imprisoned in Iran for their faith. She said, "Let us cry out to Iran and other violators of these human rights to uphold the international obligation to protect the innocent and honor the freedom of religion." And that concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host Josh Reinstein, and we're here in a beautiful day in Jerusalem on our rooftop studio. My guest today is Dr. Dmitry Radishevsky, author of Universal Zionism and director of the Jerusalem Summit. Dr. Radishevsky, thank you for being on the show.
Shalom.
Well, I'm really excited to have you on the show. Dr. Radishevsky is quite a mentor to me, and he wrote the book Universal Zionism, which is a huge hit and has been teaching people about how relevant Zionism today. Please tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, I'm trying, Josh, to go to the root of our conflict with radical Islam. And the root of the conflict is rejection of God by the West. After the Second World War, the West took a more and more radically atheist road, saying that man with his desires and his ambitions and his quest for self-gratification and satisfaction is the measure of all things, and that only human laws are important and God's laws are not important. So the paradigm of the West became man without God. And the West started aggressively expanding this paradigm all over the world. And there were no alternative to that godless onslaught of consumerism. Because Western Christians were and are a force which is not yet strong enough to change and alter Western policies and foreign policies in particular. And the resistance came from another extreme. Radical Islam said, no, we do not accept that universal scheme of globalism, man without God, is the end of history. Because the West effectively proclaimed, we have reached the peak of human history. This is the end. This is God's kingdom on earth. Liberalism, globalism, atheism. This is the end of history. And Islam said, for the lack of response from Christians, Islam said, no, this is not the end. We offer another alternative. We offer kingdom of Allah, as they see it. Totalitarian God. God without man. So what we have now is a clash of two totalitarian, wrong theologies which try to lead humanity into the dead end. On one hand, we have the godless West, man without God, saying we will spread globalism, liberal democracy, godless, atheistic, hedonistic, all over the world, and that will bring joy and happiness to everyone. And we have the East, radical Islam, saying no, we offer another dead-end alternative. We offer totalitarian, Islamic, theocratic model, God without man. And these are a clash of two monsters. Exactly the same thing happened just 50 years ago. There was communism and fascism, two totalitarian ideologies, and each proclaimed that they are bringing humanity towards happiness and eternal peace. And by God's providence, these two monsters destroyed each other. And now we have to create an alternative, we Bible-believing Jews and Christians, an alternative to godless West and to manless East. And Israel is the center which can create that holy alternative where man will meet God. Because Israel was restored to show the entire humanity a model of a modern democratic state which fervently believes in God and follows his commandments, and where man meets God.
So, Dr. Radishevsky, is this why radical Islam is attacking Christians all over the world? I mean, we see Christians being attacked in Asia and Africa. Is this why there's such a concentrated effort by radical Islam to go after Christians?
Oh, thanks for asking that, because, for example, in this book, I describe not only the spiritual roots of the Holocaust, or the hatred to the Jews, or the appearance of radical Islam, and of the creation of Israel, and of the tasks modern West has in front of it, but also the practical political strategies which we as Jews and Christians have to implement to prevail. And one of the most important things we have to transmit to our governments, and first of all to the government of the United States of America, that spreading democratic system of government around the world is a wrong strategy. Instead of democracy, we should spread biblical values. Because what we're doing now, we're saying to all the dictators in Saudi Arabia, in Syria, in Libya, that you have to have free elections. And as long as you have free elections, you are good. No, it's not true. You are good if you honor human rights, women's rights, rights of religious minorities, and first of all, of Christians, of millions of Arab Christians. And if you honor these religious rights and women's rights while having a monarchy or sheikhs or whatever government system you want, you are good with us. Because Bible doesn't speak about democracy. It speaks about love and justice.
That brings a good point. You know, as director of the Jerusalem Summit, you've been bringing this message of gender apartheid and religious apartheid in all the Muslim countries. You know, liberal universities, liberal thinkers seem to be ignoring this. We have a real situation where half the population, all the women, are treated like dogs in all these countries, and no one's saying a word. Why don't you think people are picking up on this gender apartheid?
Because we have to understand, as Bible-believing people, that it's our duty, we have to press our governments to go against all these tyrannical regimes, saying that you have to stop gender apartheid against your women and religious apartheid against your Christians. It's ironical, but it's a sign of these prophetic times that I, the Jew, sitting in Jerusalem and pleading with millions of Christians, go and support millions of Arab Christians who are persecuted daily as we speak in Arab countries. You are not doing that. I don't understand why. You have to save your co-religionists. It's even more important than staying for the Jews, that we will be saved with God's help. But Arab Christians need your support. And I plead with you, speak about gender apartheid in Muslim countries. Speak about religious apartheid in Muslim countries. And that will change history.
Dr. Radishevsky, your book is a phenomenal hit. You can buy it on the website, JerusalemSummit.org. There are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewers?
Well, my friends, we as Jews are praying for Christian revival in the West, and in particular in the United States of America. For as long as the West will be perceived by Muslims as a godless empire, they will fight us. But if they will see that we believe in our God, in the God of the Bible, more strongly that they believe in Allah, they will start respecting us. So Christian revival is the answer to all questions. And we ask you to pray for Jewish revival in Israel, because only Jewish revival will save Israel. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Radishevsky, for being on the show. And thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
Up next, shining light from Israel.
Hello, my name is Nir Barkat, Mayor of the City of Jerusalem. Watch Israel Now News and come and join us here in Jerusalem.
Hello, I'm Bishop T.D. Jakes, the senior pastor of the Potter's House in Dallas, Texas, right here in the USA. In the book of Psalms 122, King David commands us to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. As 21st century believers, it behooves us to get to know Jerusalem beyond the depictions in Scripture. One way to become acquainted with the modern-day nation of Israel is to watch Israel Now News, which airs Sunday on Daystar. Israel Now News brings you up-to-date news and information directly from Israel with a unique and unbiased voice that you won't see on nightly news. When you learn more about the Holy Land, its politics, and its people, you can direct your prayers for Jerusalem with power, passion, and purpose. So get to know modern-day Israel. Watch Israel Now News on Daystar, Sundays at 7 a.m. and again at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. God bless you. Take care.
Hi, this is Dr. Miles Monroe from Nassau, Bahamas, and I am here on the mountains of Jerusalem. I encourage you to continue to watch Israel Now News. Get the truth from the land of truth.
Jerusalem will be called the city of truth, and the truth will set you free. The Torah will go out from Zion, the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Dedicated to bringing you the full story and the truth about Israel from Israel with a dynamic format, giving you an exciting educational experience, unparalleled by any other news program. A unique perspective on current events, politics, and the culture of Israel and its surrounding neighbors. In the midst of an array of biased coverage, we challenge you to take an active role in prophecy and stand for truth together with the only democracy in the Middle East, Israel. Exceptional journalism that brings clarity to complex issues. From clarity comes knowledge, and from knowledge comes wisdom. Reporting from the heart of Jerusalem with the fear of the Lord, which is the beginning of all wisdom. Israel Now News.
Please stay tuned for the ICEJ report from the International Christian Embassy in Jerusalem.
What makes the miracles of Jesus even more miraculous? Standing where they happened, in Israel. Come explore Jerusalem, where Jesus opened blind eyes. Visit the hills of Galilee, where Jesus fed the multitude. Stroll through Capernaum, where Jesus lived and taught and healed. To learn more about standing where it all happened in Israel, visit www.goisrael.com. Come visit Israel.
You'll never be the same.
Every year in autumn, more than 250 volunteers, musicians, dancers, and worship leaders from all over the world come to Jerusalem to prepare for the annual celebration of the Feast of Tabernacles, sponsored by the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem. This unique celebration has grown over the past 30 years to become Israel's largest tourist event.
The Feast of Tabernacles, according to the Bible, is every year a celebration of worship, a celebration of the ingathering of the harvest, and also a celebration of the God of Israel. What you see behind me are some of the finest musicians and worship leaders from all over the world, which are getting ready for a big event over these next coming days, the Feast of Tabernacles celebration here in Jerusalem. We're expecting some 4,000 pilgrims from all over the world to come here to Zion to worship the God of Israel and to demonstrate to Israel that they are not alone.
Watch this year's Feast of Tabernacles on live stream or on your TV. Listen to the inspiring teaching of Billy Wilson, Pastor Alan Jackson, David Pawson, Suzette Hatting, Jürgen Bühler and many other anointed spiritual and political leaders from all over the world. Now available from our online web store, the 2011 Feast of Tabernacles Highlights DVD. This wonderful 90-minute video captures highlights from the worship and teaching of the 2011 Feast of Tabernacles.
I would like to take that opportunity to invite you to next year's Feast of Tabernacles. The feast theme next year will be the time of harvest, and it will be a prophetic declaration of the ingathering of the harvest, what we see all over the world, but also what God is doing today here in the land of Israel. The Word of God tells us that in Zechariah chapter 14 that the nations one day will come all together to worship God at Sukkot, at the Feast of Tabernacles here in Jerusalem. And the Feast of Tabernacles, carried out by the Christian Embassy, is like a prophetic foretaste of what God is doing in those future days here in the city of Jerusalem. I look forward to seeing you next year at the Feast of Tabernacles. May the Lord bless you out of Zion.
To find out more, visit our website at www.icej.org.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan Elrom.
And I'm Erin Viner, reporting from our Jerusalem studio. Please join us again next week for all your Israel updates.